All right, so this is an explanation on number 14 of the Connect Practice final exam. So below you'll see a probability distribution. X represents the number of tires with low air pressure, and then below is the probability of that happening. So for example, if we look at, this part of the diagram, there's a probability of 0.3 that one tire will have low air pressure on a randomly chosen car. And you notice it only goes up to 4 because that's how many tires are on the car. So those are all the possibilities for low air pressure, and then the probabilities. So for part 1, we want to find the probability that there will be 2 tires with low air pressure. So P parenthesis 2 means probability of 2. So we just look up to the table, and that's going to be 0.1. Okay, so for part 2, we want the probability that there are greater than 1 tire with low air pressure. So greater than 1 means 2, 3, or 4. So I'm going to take those numbers from the table, those probabilities. So probability that 2 tires is 0.1, probability of 3 tires is 0.2, probability of 4 tires is 0.2, and I'm going to add those together. Okay, so 0.1 plus 0.2 plus 0.2. So you're looking at 0.5 there. So the probability is 0.50, which is like 50%, but we're going to leave the answer as 0.50. Okay, so the next one, find probability that all 4 tires have low air pressure. So that would just be the probability that goes with the 4. So that would be 0.2. The probability in part 4 that no tires have low air pressure, so that would be the probability that goes with the 0. So 0.2 is the probability that 0 tires have low air pressure. Okay, and then for 5 and 6, we're going to compute the mean and standard deviation. So I'm going to go back up to the table, and I'm going to use my graphing calculator for this, and I'm going to go to Stat, Enter, and I'm going to enter in all of the X values into L1. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then in L2, I'm going to put the probability. So 0.2, 0.3, 0.1, 0.2, and 0.2. And they should be the same size list. So every X should have a matching value, and it does. So next, I'm going to go to Stat, Calc, and then I'm going to do one variable stats, which will give me the mean and the standard deviation. But the important part here is that we tell it to use both lists. So if you just do this regularly without telling it, then it's only going to compute the mean and standard deviation for L1, and you're going to get the wrong answer. So we want to make sure that we put in L2. So if you have a newer calculator like this one, you're going to hit second 2, so that L2 shows up next to frequency list. If you have an older calculator, what you're going to do is you're going to hit enter so that one variable stat shows up on your main screen, and then before you hit enter, you're going to type L1, comma L2, and then hit the enter button. Okay, so one variable stats, and then L1, comma L2, and then enter, and that will give you the screen that you need. Okay, so I'm going to come over here. Whoops, I don't know how I just did that. Okay, and so I'm going to go to calculate. And then you're going to look at the X bar, that's going to be your mean. So the mean, the mean is going to be 1.9. And then the standard deviation is going to be this number right here, the 1.44568. And if I scroll down here, it looks like they want answers rounded to 3 decimal places. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So for mean is 1.9, and then standard deviation is 1.446 if we round to 3 decimal places. So hope that helps.